Hey everybody, it's me, deogenz, here with another edition of Pokemon of the Week. This week we're going to go back to Kanto and take a new twist on an old friend. Get ready to blast off with Blastoise and its new Mega form in X and Y. Really an awesome thing that they gave all the Johto Final Evolve starters Mega Evolutions. I'm hoping that trend continues. I thought it was very strange that they chose Blaziken randomly out of the 3rd gen and didn't decide to give the rest of them some Mega Evolutions, but Blastoise is in that range. So for the first set, we're going to focus on what already existed for this poke when he was classified in UU, and we'll talk about why it may move up a tier when we get to set 2. So the way that this poke used to work, and still can work if you decide not to include Blastanoisite, I believe that's how it's pronounced, on this poke, you can put leftovers on it instead, have the hidden ability Rain Dish, which is available, so you can get that through your friend's Safari. What that will do is if it is a rainy day outside, 1/4 of its health will be healed every turn. So on top of that, with leftovers, it is very tankful, and you can tell by its special defense and physical defense being 100 or more. Now that will increase only more when you have effort values invested in them. So that's why I decided instead of just boosting physical defense, why not do both? Because when you take a look at its weaknesses, grass and electric, you've got plenty of moves, special and physical, that could harm this thing. So I figure it's a nice even split to take the rest of the EVs after maxing out health, of course, so you can keep this poke on the field for as long as possible, annoying your opponent with Toxicity and Roar, and Scald damage when Toxic doesn't work, because if you switch out to a Steel type or a Poison type, obviously it will have no effect. The other effect that this poke can procure is Rapid Spin, and that's a good niche to have because it's the only way to get rid of Stealth Rocks or any other annoying entry hazards that your opponent may have established on the field before you did. So you can get rid of your opponents and then set them up with another. Unfortunately, Blastoise doesn't have Stealth Rocks enabled on it, so if you were planning to Rapid Spin and then set your own, you can't do that with this poke. However, the Toxic Roar tactic works well, and it is very frustrating when all of your pokes within a first few couple of turns have status afflictions. You can really destroy somebody's strategy that way, and that's why it's oftentimes fun to lead with Blastoise. However, it could be good to switch into it so your opponent isn't expecting the Rapid Spin on the first turn, because it's very likely that they have multiple supporters with entry hazards. So if they know that you've got a Rapid Spin potential, they may hold back, and that's not good. You want them to extinguish all of those entries on a poke that can get rid of them. So now let's move on to my favorite, the more offensive Mega set. As I've mentioned many times before, I like to hit them hard and hit them fast. It's just my metagame strategy that's been really lasting me well. Now, as far as speed goes, when you go into the Mega form of Blastoise, it's untouched. However, you get a boost to attack, defense, special attack, and special defense, making all of these stats that I just mentioned over 100. That's fantastic. It makes your tank even tougher, and for this set, I'm focusing on making its impact of attack even more disturbing. Because aside from the awesome boost in its base stats, Mega Blastoise also gets the ability Mega Launcher, which is, to my knowledge, a new X and Y ability that allows Pulse and Aura moves to get powered up by 50%. Another poke that has this ability is Clauncher, so if you're curious of testing the ability before fully raising a Blastoise, that's a good poke to try it on. But come on, why not just launch into the Mega Launcher and try it out for yourself? It's awesome because it's an ability that is favored by its move pool. It can learn Dragon Pulse and Dark Pulse. Dark Pulse through TM and Dragon Pulse through Egg moves. So with the right breeding, you can have 2 Pulse moves that are powered up even more than, say, a Stab move. And then on top of that, you've got your Stab damage, and it's why you want to include Scald or something like a Hydro Pump, maybe even a Surf. Although I don't know why you would skip on the potential burn damage, which happens often I noticed in metagame with Scald, so that's why I went with it. Flash Cannon I like to include on there to knock back the fairy types, because hey, why could you ever have too little attacks for fairy types, especially if your team is not centered around steel typing. It's always good to surprise your foes with moves of a different type than what your poke is. And the nice thing about Blastoise being simply a water type, which we haven't just covered a simple single typed poke in a while, is that it doesn't have as many weaknesses as some of the other dual types we've been encountering. Now, some additional moves you can include onto this set: Iron Defense in case you want your tank to be tougher, you want it to be more durable and stay on the field longer. You won't be having any sort of Rain Dish ability, because Mega Launcher is what gets swapped in when you have Mega Blastoise enter the field. And since this poke can only get to this evolved form with the Blastoiseite item, you won't be including leftovers either. So for me, I would think that Iron Defense is a waste, and it's why that I gave so much focus on special attack. However, notice in the effort value range, I still have the health points maxed out, because you want this thing to stay around for as long as possible. You just have to be a bit more careful of what you switch out into, and be sure that if something comes onto the field like a massive electric type that you have nothing to take down, maybe your Dragon Pulse won't do it, then swap it back in, because a Mega Poke is a sad thing to waste. You can only evolve one Mega per battle, so you can have, say, Blastoise, Venusaur, and Charizard on your team, but only one of them during a match will be able to evolve into that Mega form. So it's important to think about, especially now with these new Mega forms introduced, how you're going to build your team. I've seen a lot of teams doing fake outs where they'll have multiple Mega potential pokes and of course only evolve one, and then psych the player out until the very end when it's too late. So interesting stuff, and I want to know from your metagame, or maybe even your Kalos Adventures main game, have you raised a Blastoise? Have you tried out the Blastoise Night item? Oh, I just can't say that word today. Let me know below in the comments section. I've been deogenz, reminding you to subscribe to Planet Poke, and I will see you next week.
Hello everyone, welcome to my Heart Gold Soul Silver EV training guide. This is the introduction, in which we will discuss what the heck is effort value training anyway. Well, here's a great comparison to make you realize the importance of these things, these hidden stats that Nintendo will not let you know about. Have you ever versed a friend who had the same